Mason Voth, Drew Galloway back here with you. And now we are joined by Dillon Duff, who is the quarterback of the 2025 recruiting class for K-State. And we talked so much today about there are a ton of DBs, there are a ton of wide receivers, there's a ton of this, a ton of that. Quarterbacks, there's only one of you in every class. And so it's always a pretty big deal. But in addition to that, you were really the first recruit that Matt Wells was a part of in bringing to K-State when he took the job. So what was the process like for you from beginning to end to becoming a Wildcat?
Yeah, so I actually went to a couple of K-State camps early on when Wells was not the offensive coordinator. Obviously, it was Klein early on. So I went to a couple of camps, got recognized a little bit, but didn't really get too many conversations out of them. And I really didn't have any film at that point. I didn't start till junior year. So once I got that film and came back, I was already getting offers from like Minnesota, Indiana, schools like that. Mizzou had already offered. And then Coach Wells became the OC. And he first person he called early, like a week into his process of being coach was me. And he came up to see me play basketball. And then like 2 days later, I got the offer. So really it was kind of just a sudden thing for me. But I mean, I fell in love with the process, went up there a couple more times, got to know it. And before you know it, I was committed and ready to start the 25 class.
So you have actually went back to a camp and got to work with Coach Wells. So what's it like working with him, and what did he teach you at the K-State camp that you went to?
Yeah, it was really cool. I went up to also recruit Lincoln during that trip, and he's like, you get a chance to for me to coach you and be around the team and show them that you're ready to come and work and not just for the publicity of it. So it was great learning from him. He was just he's very helpful in terms of the small mechanics of playing quarterback, and he challenged me that day and see what I was made of. So it was really fun, and I was also able to connect with Lincoln and a couple of recruits.
So you mentioned a couple of things that I want to bring up here. Number one, you talked about Coach Wells came and watched you play basketball, which I don't know if you saw, but Coach Kleiman was very complimentary of your basketball game today during his press conference. And then in addition to that, you talk about Lincoln Cure. Obviously, the last couple of days were pretty hectic for him. What was it like for you as not just the quarterback of this class, but one of his peers, kind of watching all the back and forth of, is it going to be K-State? Is it going to be Oregon? What's that like for you watching one of the guys that's going to be a teammate go through that?
Yeah, I mean, it puts me in like the coach's shoes because obviously that's a guy I want to play with down the road. So I turn into a recruiter. I turn into like, hey, calling up his phone, texting him, making sure how is his visits, where is he at? Is he at Kansas? Is he at Oregon? What's he up to? So I had to be up to date with all the stuff he was doing because we really wanted him to stay with us. So I kind of turned into a coach and recruiter there. But I was in the process with, talking to Wells and Taylor, the recruiting coordinator, whatnot. And we were kind of just, and chopping it up, seeing how we can get him to stay, what we can say and do, and what's going to help him.
So you're one of 4 Missouri guys in this recruiting class. What's your relationship with all those guys, and what has really kind of been one of your favorite memories with those guys?
Yeah. Before I even got to know those guys, I mean, I was looking at K-State's roster, and there was only like maybe 1 or 2 Missouri guys in general on the whole team. So when I found out that guys like Will Kemna and Porter and some other guys were, some Missouri guys repping the K-State purple, I mean, it was really cool. And we got to chop it up, talk about high school games. And, I was asking Kemna, he's playing in state a day after I play in state on Friday. So it's just really cool little things like that I'll carry on with me at K-State, and we'll chop it up about what it's like in Missouri.
So you mentioned getting ready for the state championship. What's the high school season been like for you, and where do you feel like you've improved your game throughout the course of this season, and then getting ready for a state championship this weekend?
Yeah, it's been a really fun season. We obviously making a deep run into the playoffs here, but we had some 2 tough losses early on in the season. I think helped us kind of realize that we have the athletes, but we have to put it all together in order to win. So we've had a great playoff run, got into some tight games, and we actually had a snow game last Saturday. So just really cool moments, and we're hoping to cap it off with the state championship on Friday. But in terms of me, I think I've really just worked on my consistency. Last year, I was constantly trying to show people that I could run the ball and that I could beat people with my feet. But this year, it's more of an even balance between the two. And I've been able to, break a couple records for our school and in the completions, yard, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think just the overall consistency of my game and all the records, man.
So my first fun question for you is you're from a family of athletes. Your dad played basketball in college. Your sister played soccer in college. Your grandfather was a running back at USC. Who is the best athlete in your family and why?
Man, I'm gonna say my mom because she gets no love. She gets no love. She didn't play a college sport, but she sure as hell got the attributes, and I want it to go to waste because she's an athlete and she's part of the reason why I am who I am.
I think a lot of times throughout this process, people obviously focus on the recruits and everything, but there's the support behind them and their families and everything. So what was this process like for your family members to go through it with you, with giving you your space to make your own decision and see you go through this, because it's got to be exciting for them, but then also having the conversation of like, I think I want to go to Manhattan, Kansas for college and play there. What's that whole system been like for you?
Yeah, obviously they're very, very supporting, and they were really helpful in the process. They went through it a little bit with my older sister Mackenzie when she committed to Clemson, but as you know, college football is a whole new atmosphere. So I tried to keep my mom a little out of the loop because she, was freaking out a little bit, but my dad understood, this is how it's going to be. And he kind of mentored me through all the camps and the recruitment and, talking to coaches and stuff like that. My mom kind of handled the keep the faith and stay humble and that kind of what a mom would preach to you. So they were both very helpful in the process. I'm very thankful for them, and I wouldn't be here without them.
You're also one of 14 players in this recruiting class that are going to enroll early at K-State. How do you think that will help you?
Yeah, I think it'll help me and all the other guys in the class just to get our feet on the ground as soon as we can and learn the playbook and get to know each other and, get a kickstart. More and more, obviously, it's becoming popular to graduate early, especially at my position too. So I think just getting down there, getting used to the wideouts, tight ends, linemen, all those guys, building a relationship with them, getting a little bit of the playbook, I think. And then also spring ball, it's spring ball is real. It's you actually practice, you're actually put in game situations, and I think it'll help me down the road.
Thinking about just kind of the process of getting here, and then you talk about enrolling early. One of the things that, again, we talk about with quarterbacks is there's only really one of you, and Avery Johnson is obviously in place there and had a solid first season as a starting quarterback. What is it like for you going in and realizing, okay, there's a guy there that's still 2 years of eligibility left if he wants to use them, and how do you approach that as a quarterback that obviously everybody wants to play, but there's also the element of making sure you're ready for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to Coach Wells a lot about, how these next, couple months, the first few months I get there and what it's going to like with terms of reps. But the good thing about K-State that they've always preached to me is that I'm going to get the same amount of reps as pretty much the starter in practice. So in terms of being ready, that won't be a problem. But obviously, as every quarterback does, you're going to have to fight for whoever's going to be on that field. And, I'm going to come in there with that mentality. And if not, maybe, redshirt, maybe learn from Avery, learn from some of the other guys in the room and do what I have to do. But I guess time will tell. You never really know, especially with the transfer portal and other guys maybe leaving, you just don't know. So, Avery got a chance to play in some games his freshman year. And, if you asked him before the season, I don't know if he could have told you that he was going to do that. So you really never know. And I never want to put like a set in stone answer on that. I just going to go in there, compete, do my thing.
I was going to say, if you look at it, the last two full-time starters at K-State, both won the backup quarterback job as true freshmen. Avery last season and Will Howard before him. And Will was thrust into it full force his freshman year. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind with how this all plays out.
Yeah.
What would you say is the thing that attracts you the most to K-State's offense?
Yeah. I think, they're very creative in how they use their tight ends, especially in the red zone. I think, using the tight ends is a very valuable part of the game. We have a great tight end group, especially with Lincoln coming in. And just the RPO game of it, being able to run the ball and pass the ball, run the ball with DJ and all those guys to open up the pass game. I think, we have a very creative offense in what we do, and we can kind of pick our poison and how to beat you. So
it's been a pretty exciting time seeing all the recruiting stuff come in. We know K-State made a late flurry to kind of fill out your class with some more guys. You mentioned Larry Porter earlier, but we've gotten to talk to a handful of guys and see where their mind's at and what they're most excited about getting to Manhattan for outside of football. So for you, what is a couple of the things that you're most excited about getting to experience as a college student for the first time when you make it to Manhattan and you're not locked inside the football facilities?
Yeah. I think just being in a college town itself, I really haven't been outside of Missouri in a lot of college towns. I've visited other schools, but it's really mainly football facilities and stuff. So just getting to, be downtown or whatever, and, just meet new people, I guess. Football is going to be pretty much 90% of what I do down there anyways, but if I can find joy in some of the other things in Manhattan, I hear nothing but good things about the place and how nice the people are and what people gain out of going to school there.
Another fun one from me, and we've asked so far RJ Collins, and we've also asked JoJo Scott this. What is your favorite K-State uniform combination?
All white, baby.
Oh, good answer.
All white.
I
like the traditional. Obviously, you got to love the traditional because you got to respect it, but all white in terms of being the drippiest is all white. Sure.
That's what everybody has said that we've talked to. They've thrown an alternate uniform out there, so I think we're trying to set this class up to be the one that gets Coach Kleiman to kind of flip the script and let everybody wear a fun uniform every once in a while. Somebody's got to snap the curse of wearing alternate uniforms, because I'm sure you're aware of that at this point, right? You're probably putting them on for photo shoots and they're like, yeah, we just never wear these on the field.
Yeah. Obviously you want to wear what looks good in photo shoots, but it's not realistic.
The other thing that I'll ask you, and then I'll let Drew have the final question here, is Chris Kleiman talked about how good of a basketball player you were in his press conference today. And with enrolling early, how difficult of a decision was it to enroll early versus give up your last season of playing basketball?
Yeah, man. That's obviously, it's bittersweet to explain in the best terms. Honestly, I have a twin brother who's on the basketball team, and he wasn't able to finish the season last year because he had a broken wrist. So honestly, I just want him to do his thing and be able to be the guy on that team along with some other guys. And it's going to be a little hard for me watching, but I'm fully supportive of that team. And I think I made the right decision. I was kind of outweighing the benefits, and I think graduating early definitely stuck out to me. And, just because it's hard doesn't mean it wasn't the right decision. So I'm happy with my decision. I'm ready to watch my brother get some recognition for what he does.
So my question for you is that you were the first commit in the 2025 class way back in January. So were you kind of the one that facilitated like the group chats and everything that went along with that? Or like, how did that all kind of go about?
Yeah. It started with me, then we got Weston Polk maybe was second or third. And we kind of just added guys onto the group chat. But that's all Taylor Brett. That's all his ideas, his group chat, Snapchat life. He's still living young. But no, I'm definitely included in a lot of it. And I helped as much as I could in the recruiting process with those guys, just texting them every day, every week, seeing how they're doing. So I was kind of, like I said, I was along with them in the process of Lincoln still until this point. So the group chats were fun and all, but I was definitely texting those guys a lot.
We were talking before we got going here. Drew was mentioning the birth years for everybody in this class, how it's a bunch of 06 and 07 guys now, and how everybody says this, especially the older they get, they're going, wow, it's crazy to see that. And I was kind of like that too. And I was like, well, I had a brother who was born in 04. This is a sophomore in college now, so I kind of get it. But your birthday in particular, Drew brought up because we were getting ready to talk to you. And so we went and looked up the date, and it was on a Saturday. And it was a K-State loss to Baylor 17-3. But the note in there that if you want to tie this in any way is that it was a Missouri native getting his first career start as a true freshman at quarterback in Josh Freeman, who, despite the fact that he had to play for Ron Prince, had a very good individual career and put up some records at K-State and then went on to be a first-round NFL draft pick. So it probably means nothing, but at least that's just some random nugget of information to take with you, that you were born the same day that Josh Freeman got his start at K-State for the first time.
Good to know, man. Good to know.
All right. We'll leave it on that uncomfortable note for you. And you're probably wondering why two guys are wanting to talk about your birthday so much. So we'll just save it for this coming year. We'll wish you a happy birthday when it comes around in 25 and be done with it. But we'll let you get on with your night, and best of luck finishing out high school and this weekend with a state championship on the line, and then getting to Manhattan in the winter.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks.